Action for action's sake. That's a third of the 14 characteristics of Ur-Fascism as laid out by Umberto Eco in the New York Review. And this was actually written in 1995. And the reason it's so fascinating to me is that 30 years ago, he was writing about fascism, and we are seeing it played out like line for line in real time today. So it is just fascinating to me. But today we're looking at the third one, and it is action for action's sake. So let's dive in. Irrationalism, which, if you'll remember from last time, we talked a little bit about irrationalism. The far right leans away from intellectualism and modernism and actually leans toward irrationalism, which does not mean irrationality. Irrationalism is actually a philosophical movement that emerged in the early 19th century, so right about the time that Eco was a kid in the fascist Italy under Mussolini. It emphasizes a non rational dimension of human life. As they reject logic, irrationalists argue that instinct and feelings are superior to reason in the research of knowledge. So that is what we were talking about today. So irrationalism also depends on the cult of action for action's sake. Action being beautiful in itself, it must be taken before or without any previous reflection. We'll come back to that in a second. Thinking is a form of emasculation. Like, okay, so if emasculation is the technical definition, the dictionary definition is to cut off a man part, the more colloquial definition is to make a man less manly. So if thinking is a form of emasculation, basically what we're saying is that being smart is womanly. I mean, they're not wrong. Anyway, therefore, culture is suspect insofar as it is identified with critical attitudes, basically meaning that anytime you think critically or critique a thought, it is suspect. Distrust of the intellectual world has always been a symptom of your fascism. From Goering's alleged statement, "When I hear talk of culture, I reach for my gun." Okay. To the frequent use of such expressions as degenerate intellectuals, degenerate intellectuals, eggheads, effete snobs, and universities are a nest of reds. And I tried to look and I couldn't find a specific definition, but I think what they're saying is that universities are where the communists gather. The official fascist intellectuals were mainly engaged in attacking modern culture and the liberal intelligentsia for having betrayed traditional values. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these. So this thought that actions for action's sake, it just is it just rings so true for what is happening in the world today. Um, and I like to think that the things that the far right and that Trump's administration are doing have some purpose behind them. But when I read about this, your fascism, this characteristic of your fascism, it's entirely possible that it really just is what it is. Just doing shit for the sake of doing shit.
That just come into us.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, the first time in history flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well.
Okay. Okay. The Gulf of America. Because we have no other priorities that are more important than that.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff. Aluminum too.
During his first.
Okay, so let's just throw tariffs on our trade competitors. No. Let's put tariffs on our trade allies. Because why? Because whatever.
never even touch it, huh?
You never even touch it, huh? Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to, just grab those French fries right out of there with the with your bare hands out of the boiling oil. Yeah, we'll just put that right up there next to the that old fashioned term, groceries.
I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't.
Stop! Come on. Okay. Shh. Can you not? Come on then. Come on. Come on, or I will kick your ass out of here. No, don't you look at me like that. Are you gonna come? Not gonna come? Okay, hush. Yeah, okay. Okay, all right. You want to help? Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, you want to help? You can help. Okay, great. That's okay. Good. Shh, we're gonna listen.
250 million people are not garbage.
It's not wrong.
I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
Oh, they do. Who's it? I'm so sorry. That was a great optics. Okay. Yeah. Fuck. I've had enough of that. Okay. Okay. So I think we can make an argument that the fascist regime of today is doing a few things that look like just doing shit for shit's sake. Shits and giggles, whatever. Okay. One of the other elements of this action for action's sake and irrationalism is this attacking of modern culture. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the ways that we are seeing this happening.
President Trump has just signed an executive order mandating classical architecture to be used in government buildings, which greatly limits freedom in design. This executive order is called Promoting Beautiful Federal Civic Architecture. This was for...
Okay, let's take a look at what that actually is. All right.
20th, 2025. Memorandum for the Administrator of the General Services Administration.
This is one of his
Subject:
executive
Promoting
orders, by
Beautiful
the way.
Federal Civic Architecture. I hereby direct the Administrator of the General Services Administration, in consultation with the Assistant to the President, for Domestic Policy, and the heads of departments and agencies of the United States, where necessary, to submit to me within 60 days recommendations to advance the policy that federal public buildings should be visually identifiable as civic buildings and respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage in order to uplift and beautify public spaces and ennoble the United States and our system of self-government.
Okay, so one of the very first things that he has done in this new administration is to roll back on modern art and architecture and actually write an executive order mandating that the federal buildings, that government buildings, all have classical architectural heritage. Classical architecture. All right. Oh, that's fine. You want to do that? You go do that. We also saw this kind of backlash against modern art in the reactions of so many people to the halftime show of the Super Bowl just a couple of days ago. People were pissed. I don't really think that it was because of the quality of the artistry, because the people who really got it. The people who appreciated it really understood. So anyway, here's a funny reaction.
That was the worst halftime show I have ever seen.
Wait, what do you mean? What was wrong with it?
Well, first off, you couldn't hear anything. I mean,
I could hear everything fine. That wasn't a problem for me.
well, I don't like that kind of music. Like, why didn't they have somebody on stage who looks like me? You know, like
Wait, looks like you? What does that mean?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like somebody on stage who performs music that I enjoy, that I like, made by people who have my same skin. I mean, people who have my same tastes. And
So You're just racist, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Another place that we see this rolling back of modernism, intellectual thought, is in the banned book world.
Banned books are books that have been officially removed from libraries, schools, or other public places due to objections or restrictions from authorities. These objections often stem from content deemed inappropriate, controversial, or offensive. In the 2023 to 2024 school year, 44% of banned books included characters for people of color, and 39% included LGBTQ plus characters or people. In the era of the 2025 Trump administration, it is more important now than ever that we talk about banned books. Welcome.
I couldn't agree more, Miss Marissa. Okay, so we're starting to see evidence of this rolling back of modernism. And we're at the stage now where it is not just a pushback against modernism, it's a full-on rollback, like banning and banishing and just eliminating art and thought and critical thought. So, I mean, it's kind of terrifying, really. I mean, I'm making a lot of fun, but this is a scary time and a scary place to be. Okay, now, the other element of this, and here is where I want to just kind of, I want to stop only blaming one side for the shit show that we're in right now. So one of the other things that this action for action's sake in irrationalism does is that the fascist state really hates the arrogance of the left. Right? I mean, even in Echo's words, he says they use expressions as degenerate intellectuals, eggheads, effete snobs, universities are a nest of reds. And interestingly, I have been hearing a lot of talk about how the arrogance of the left cost us the election. Now, I do not think that the election could have been won simply by the left kind of reining in their arrogance, but there is a point to be made here. So let's take a look a little bit about some of the ways that we're seeing this played out.
Here's my ultimate issue: the arrogance of the Democratic Party.
Almost everything that I dislike about the rise of the right in America and here and in Europe, I can say is probably the fault of the left. The left's greatest sin seems to be, and I speak as a sort of leftist, is that it would rather be right than effective. There's not even a Wizard of Oz operating the levers in the background. There's just nobody.
Yikes.
You must be very uncomfortable with.
Yikes, that was a scathing indictment. All right, let's hear what Ms. Silverman has to say about this.
I do think also the right and the left are mirroring each other in lots of ways that I see. I mean, I'm a far left. I always think of myself as a far left person, and yet I see like a real elitism. Elitiness. I think it's a elitiness. But to just go, you said the wrong thing, or you're. We don't say that now. We say this.
Yeah.
It's so elitist when you can go, join us. Yeah. We're doing something cool, and you could be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the right kind of does that well. I don't know why the left doesn't do that. I don't know why they're so fucking arrogant, you know, and I say them, I'm in it, but I look around and I go like, stop being cunts.
I didn't hear that part before. Okay, that's really funny. But I mean, she's not wrong, right? She's not wrong.
Yeah, see, that's why we don't. That's why we don't follow that logic, Liam. That's why we don't. That's why that logic. Get Coke, Liam. Get Coke, Liam. Yeah.
It's okay. Okay. Oh no, hold on a second. Okay, to be completely transparent, I love Dean and Parker and Harry and Chris. And if I saw them on the street, I'd probably fangirl a little bit. And I really do enjoy watching them dog walk people who are really just fucking stupid. That being said, I do think that there is a lot of room for the people on the left, which includes me, to dial back our arrogance just a little tiny bit for the sake of having conversations with people on the right. I don't know that we're ready to just like kumbaya with the people who voted in a fascist regime that will take decades to recover from. And here's the reason that I say that. It is because this fascist regime, the reason that they got voted in was because the people on the right, besides the obvious racism and misogyny, but the people on the right also wanted somebody in office who could just burn the shit to the ground. And they are doing that. Every single day we find out of something else that just got torched to a crisp. But they believed that this regime had a plan for rebuilding a democracy. And they just don't. They have no intention of rebuilding a democracy. They are building an authoritarian regime. Okay, let's be clear about that. So while we are only 3 weeks out from the inauguration, I know I am not ready, and a lot of people that are on my side of the aisle are not ready yet to just, shake hands, go break bread with each other. We're not there yet. I mean, for the love of God, can we at least see some break in the utter devastation that is happening to our government right now and to our country? You cannot heal from abuse while you are still in the abuse. You have to remove yourself from the abuse before you can start to heal. We are still being abused, and we cannot begin to heal while the abuse is ongoing. And I hope that it doesn't last long. I mean, it's going to be a few years before the abuse ends. So I think we can really count on a few years before we start to make any moves to bury the hatchet. But anyway, all that being said, there is there's a lot to unpack here. I am snarky positivity, which means I always end on a positive note. And the positive note is this. A lot of the people who were criticizing the arrogance of the left in the package that I just played for you were people on the left, including myself. So the positive news for today is that it is not always them against us, right? Like at least on my side of the aisle, people that I hang with have the capacity and the willingness to look inward and to look at the things that we did that may have contributed to the state of things we're in right now. So on a positive note, it's not always just them that's wrong. And that is positive because the first way that we start to kind of break down that barrier that separates us is for us to be willing to look inward. And once we can kind of like clean up our own side of the street, then we can really start to kind of reach across and figure out a way to heal this very, very broken nation. Thanks for sticking with me. If you like the content, please subscribe. I am working to build up my subscriber base on the tube of you. And again, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for supporting me. I love doing this. I'm learning alongside of you. So this is fun for me as well. Okay, bye. Part of this is, okay, you go down there. Okay, you can go, but you better not bark at me or I will kick your ass out of here, little shit.